everybody, so before the video begins, I wanted to mention that I released an album earlier this week. It's called The Concept of Love, and it's heavily inspired by anime and game music. If that sounds like your thing, you can find out more by clicking the link over here, or by checking out the links in the description. Thanks so much, and on to the video. Anyone who's watched this channel for long enough probably knows that I am a huge Game Grumps fan. For those of you who don't know, the Grumps are a group of Let's Players and content creators, and several of them happen to be very talented musicians. But today I thought it would be fun to take a look at the intro theme to the Grumps main show, because there's actually quite a bit to discuss in there. I'm going to be talking about a lot of technical musical terms here, but I'll do the best I can to explain them, and I hope that even non-musicians get the idea of what I'm saying. So, let's get started.
Hey, I'm Grumps, I'm not so Grump, and we're the Game Grumps!
So, very short, but there's a decent amount of information to cover here. We start in the key of F sharp. That's right, look at all those sharps, you know you like them. But for some people, especially those new to music theory, it can be difficult to think in that key, so I'm just going to transpose it all down a semitone to, oh my gosh! It's okay, we just need to correct for the key signature. But let's ignore the melody for just a second and take a look at this rhythm. The observant of you might have noticed that this little C over here has a line through it. This is the symbol for cut time, or 2/2 meter. Why not just write it in 4/4 time at a fast tempo? Well, there's two reasons for that. One of them is more practical, and the second is something I think you'll find very interesting. First off, the beat just isn't that fast. I mean, listen to this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, but why not count it in 4/4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I could do that, but the end result would be much more difficult to read because you'd have a lot more notes going on in a single bar, and it's not fun. The other reason is because the Super Mario Bros. Theme is written in cut time. What does Super Mario Bros. Have to do with anything? Well, the rhythm for the Game Grumps intro is lifted directly from the Super Mario Bros. Theme. Take a listen. It's a wonderfully subtle way of connecting this intro back to video games, aside from just being a great, catchy rhythm in the first place. The last thing that I'll mention about this rhythm is that the eighths are swung. I've done a video on swung rhythms before, but the best way to explain it is to stand up and skip. Go ahead, try it. The rhythm that your feet make when skipping is the rhythm of swung eighths. Alright, on to the melody then. Aaron goes, "Hey, I'm Grump," at approximately an A, and Dan follows this up by continuing from Aaron's pitch, going up to a high G, and then down to F. This idea of Aaron opening up this phrase and then Dan following it up is called call and response, where the opening motif presents a sort of question and is then answered, often by another instrument or vocalist. It's a great way to get some interaction going on and to make the melody feel a bit more alive, especially when there's more than one musician involved. Next, the two begin to harmonize, both starting on C and then moving in opposite directions to eventually resolve on F. Starting this phrase on C is important. In the key of F, C is the 5th degree of the scale, also known as the dominant. The dominant is very important in music as a whole, and it sets your ear up to expect a resolution of some kind. From here, Aaron begins to go down the scale, and Dan goes up. This is a technique called contrary motion, where two parts of a harmonized line move in opposite directions. It's a nice way of pulling towards the tonic from both above and below, while also providing a sort of independence between the two lines, which just makes it more interesting to listen to. One thing to point out here is that while Dan goes up to a D, Aaron remains on C, creating a somewhat dissonant interval. Aaron could have moved down at about the same rate that Dan moved up, such as this. But holding back for one note offsets the harmony to create much more dissonant intervals, which really plays up the tension of this phrase to make the resolution on F that much more satisfying. So that's really all there is to it. It's short and sweet, memorable, and very effective for branding purposes. The call and response does a great job of introducing the hosts in a way that feels very natural on a musical level, and the rhythm harkening back to Super Mario Bros. Ties the theme back to video games in a clever, subtle way that most people, including myself, would tend to gravitate towards chiptune when doing video game-related intros. And that resolution is just satisfying. Also, Aaron, that technique in Chic's theme, where it goes slow and then fast and slow and fast, that's called rubato, and I happen to think it's very nice. Thanks for watching! If you like what I do, please subscribe. I ramble about video games and music theory every Saturday. Please share if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week.